Putin News Now, there will be no formal invitation extended to Ukraine at the NATO summit. NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg said on Monday that Ukrainian leaders would not be invited to join the alliance at a summit in Vilnius in the middle of July. He told reporters after meeting German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in Berlin that leaders would discuss ways to bring Ukraine closer to NATO, but that issuing a formal invitation was not on the agenda for the upcoming summit in Vilnius. While calling for an end to hostilities, Stoltenberg cautioned against settling for a frozen conflict in Ukraine. "We all want this war to end, but a just peace cannot mean freezing the conflict and accepting a deal dictated by Russia," he said. A major dam on the Dnieper River broke on June 6, killing dozens and leaving many more missing. Access to the affected areas is difficult due to ongoing fighting and what the United Nations calls Russian obstructionism. Late on June 18, UN Humanitarian Coordinator for Ukraine Denise Brown expressed frustration that the Russian government has so far declined our request to access the areas under its temporary military control in the affected regions, adding that the UN would continue to engage to seek the necessary access. "We urge the Russian authorities to act in accordance with their obligations under international humanitarian law," Brown said. "Those in need must not be denied assistance." The collapse of the dam resulted in widespread flooding, the loss of electricity and clean water, the destruction of crops, and a catastrophic environmental disaster. The Kakhovka Dam's reservoir may still have some water in it, according to a June 16 statement from the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, but whether or not the level is high enough to pump water for use at the plant is unknown. Officials in Ukraine reported late last week that 16 people in the area had died due to the dam's collapse. Officials in Russian-occupied territories reported an additional 29 deaths as a result of the flooding. The Interior Ministry of Ukraine reported late on June 17 via telegram that 3,600 people had been rescued from the flooded areas of Kherson and Mykolaiv regions, while 31 people were still missing. The New York Times reported on evidence suggesting that Russia, which has controlled the huge Kakhovka Dam and surrounding area since early in the conflict, was responsible for the explosion that led to its destruction. On June 19, a car bomb injured Volodymyr Epifanov, an aide to the Russian-imposed deputy minister of the Ukrainian region of Zaporizhia, and two of his associates. Crimean officials installed by the Russian Federation claim that a gas tank explosion at 4 a.m. sent Epifanov, his secretary, and bodyguard to the hospital with burns covering 30% of their bodies. 3 people needed medical attention and were admitted to a hospital. There was no way to confirm the data on one's own. Kyiv has not commented on the deaths or injuries of several Moscow-installed officials who have occurred since Russia launched its ongoing invasion of Ukraine in February of last year.